Tuesday, glorious Tuesday, whatever way, any way you want to put it, it's a great day. I'm just feeling like making a video this morning, I guess. I ride and I observe. I'm an observer. I pay attention to most things that go on around me because you need to be aware of what's going on around you these days. You know, I've always been that way anyway. Being a truck driver and all, you know, you be out on the road and stuff and carry a lot of weight. The truck is heavy. You got to be on point. I want to talk about my illustrious career as a truck driver for over 20 some odd years, semi-retired. I just wanted to touch on some political shit, you know. First thing I thought about, the first thing I observed this morning, I seen a sign that said, vaccinated, my body, my choice. I mean, unvaccinated, my body, my choice. I have no problem with that. Then it said, unvaccinated lives matter. And I thought about Black Lives Matter, of course, right? That's like a new political phrase these days, you know, in this early part of the 21st century. Black Lives Matter, you know. Really don't understand why that would even be a phrase, a group, a movement. I don't understand why none of that even exists. In a world, on a planet where you have billions of people, human beings of all different type of shades, you know, all different hues. Hue is a short word. It's spelled H-U-E, and it is described as a spectrum of color. Black, yellow, red, brown, green, you know, all the colors. Those are hues. And a hue definitely means a colored man. You know, when you put it in perspective, right? If it's hue and hue is described as a spectrum of color, then the person would have to be a person of color. I really don't know too many people of color, whether you be Asian, Indian, Chinese, Vietnamese, Philippine, Mexican, Cuban, Puerto Rican. You get what I'm trying to say. I don't know too many of us, and I do say us. Pardon me. I do say us because we are basically a family, for the most part. Have any problems with understanding that, you know, colored people's lives matter. Black being one of those colors that matter to most people of color. And there's a lot of people, you know, again, different nationalities and stuff like that are, you know, part of the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, that are in the marches and protests and all of that type of stuff. All of that stuff is fine. But again, I don't see the necessity to have to say that Black Lives Matter when we know that all lives matter, right? All lives matter. I don't care if it's a cat, dog, bird, right? You know, we ain't dealing with roaches, you know, or none of them pests and, you know, that type of thing. But all lives matter because remember, you know, even in The Lion King, you know, the song that they sang about the circle of life, meaning that all things are interconnected, right? All things are interconnected, one way or the other. We all have to breathe the same air. We all share the sunlight, right? When the snow falls, it falls on us all. The rain falls, it falls on us all, right? So we basically are in this thing together is what I'm trying to say, right? So I don't understand why there is a political movement for Black Lives Matter, right? Now, before y'all think that I don't, you know, believe that Black Lives Matter or that is necessary, I'm going to get to where I'm going to clarify what I'm trying to say, right? I just said it as a matter of fact that we know, right, that all lives matter, okay? Black life, brown life, white life, red life, brown life, whatever life you classify yourself in as a human being, to me, your life matters, okay? Your life matters. So there really is no need for Black Lives Matter unless you have a group of people, and I'm not just talking about white people, because again, even in that, it's my body, my choice is the sign. I just passed it again. But there's people of different nationalities who have issues with so-called black people. And it's not just white people. And you might ask yourself, well, I mean, and I'm sure, matter of fact, that I'm sure that you know some of these people of different nationalities that have problems with black people. All right, so-called black people. Again, I'm not a black person, right? I'm not a black person. I'm a person of color. If you look at me, my skin is not black, right? That's brown. If you look at the earth is brown like me, right? The earth is brown like me. If you look at a penny, the lowest denomination of currency in the United States of America, it just so happens that that brown penny has Abraham Lincoln on it, who supposedly freed the slaves, right? And then it's brown. Why is it brown? Well, it's brown because it's made out of copper, okay? It's made out of copper. Melanin, right? It's of color. And for those of you who don't know, melanin is what gives you your color. Melanin is in everything, okay? Melanin is what helps you to live with the sun. The sun doesn't burn your skin. The sun doesn't give you cancer, you know, as quick as it gives other people who lack color cancer and so on and so forth, right? So again, just getting back to why we need to have this political movement, Black Lives Matter, right? I think it's totally unnecessary. And I don't agree that, I didn't agree with it when I even first heard it. First of all, I found it offensive because I didn't grow up. I know the reality that I live in. There's a lot of racism. Racism does exist, no doubt about it. Bigotry exists. As a matter of fact, I just want to clarify my definition of racism. And I don't find anything wrong with being racist. My definition of racism, right, is a group that looks out for the interests of the group. Okay? That's racism. Indian people from Asia practice racism. Chinese people from China practice racism. Korean people from Korea practice racism. Mexicans practice racism. Okay? Black folks are the only people, so-called black folks, okay? The copper-toned, dark-skinned people, the fully melanated people, do not practice racism. That means that black people, melanated, the dark one, right, does not practice racism. Where we should practice racism, we should put the interests of the group up front, where we take care of each other like it was when I was coming up and you went to your next door neighbor and you needed some bread and stuff. They gave you bread. You know, they even gave you some butter, maybe some sugar. Asked you if you had this and that. You got milk, you got this, you got that. We practice racism, right? We practice group economics, right? We had our own businesses. You know, again, one of the great speeches that Martin Luther King gave, you know, was after the mountaintop speech, where he spoke and said that maybe, just maybe, I'll lead my people into a burning house. Talking about America and integration. Because when we integrated with the Europeans in this country, white folks in this country, right? We gave up our racism. We gave up our economic power. We gave up our finances. We gave up our stores, our livelihood. And then we became not just employees, back to the white man, the European, right? But now we have nothing. So getting back again to the Black Lives Matter thing, I'm trying to stay on point. But you see how all of this stuff, again, is interconnected. It's all connected. You know, the other thing is this. The reason that you have this Black Lives Matter is because you have people who are not melanated, who have no idea what you go through as a black person being profiled by white police officers because you're black. Being shot down, 12-year-old, male, female, senior citizen, young person, college educated, no educated, drug addict, no drug addict, fully employed, it doesn't matter. There's been so many of our people who have been gunned down by these white police officers, right? And again, I'm not a bigot. I got nothing against Europeans, white people, whatever they want to call themselves, but I'm saying that that white person does not understand what we go through, right? Having to deal with the court system, having to deal with somebody assuming that you're a liar, a thief, a drug addict, a drug dealer, a pimp, a hustler, a hooker, all of this crap, never looking at you as being the original man, never looking at you as being the God who created them, being it's the fact that white people have to come from black people because we don't come from white people. Because really what that's all about, that pale skin, that's called albinoism. Let's keep it real, right? This is not racist by no means. It's truth. You know, and in this society, America, they have a very hard time with dealing with truth. Again, Black lives matter. Of course Black lives matter. Okay? Of course Black lives matter. Brown lives matter. White lives matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. You're a human being. Your life matters. You are important. I need you. I am grateful to so many police officers in my life. My grandfather was a police officer. My father's best friends were police officers. I sat down and ate with them. They came to my house. They came to my mother's house. They came to my father's house. Right? I was always in the house with my grandfather where he had his fellow officers in the house, whatever. I have great respect for the police officers who are out being a human being and a public servant at the same time, and recognizing others as human beings as well, and respecting their constitutional and God-given rights, which is under natural law, that all men are created equal in that Constitution, and that they are endowed by their Creator, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all men. All men. Right? The law should apply to all men. Okay? So while these white police officers are out here, let's just give an example of how this shit works, right? This dude, Kyle Rittenhouse, right? White boy, 17 years old. His mama goes out and buys him an AK, whatever that AR-15. Right? This motherfucker leaves his fucking home, his goddamn state, his county, his city, and he goes all the way to somebody else's hometown city, and he wants to play G.I. Joe with an AR-15. This motherfucker goes out and guns down 2 people, murder, and shot another one who the guy was a paramedic. The guy witnessed him kill 2 people. The guy was trying to get him to calm down. This dude was a paramedic, an EMT, whose life mattered. But when you listen to these motherfuckers that made this Rittenhouse a goddamn national hero, that EMT's life didn't matter. And neither did those other two white boys who were killed by that white guy because of their anger and resentment towards the Black Lives Matter movement, which was created by a white man, Mr. Soros, or Soros, well, however you pronounce his name. You know him, George Soros or somebody to that effect. So, again, what this Black Lives Matter has done is created a firestorm within these bigots, these white folks who think that, you know, again, we're drug dealers, pimps, hustlers, pushers, you know, murderers. When we talk about the murderer throughout human history, it would have to be the white man. They have gone in nations all across the world and slaughtered, okay? Again, this ain't racism. This ain't bigotry. I'm not angry with white folks. I'm just speaking truth. And again, I know the truth hurts. I know it's hard to swallow the truth. I know that you ain't responsible for your ancestors, what your ancestors did and all that shit. The same way that you're not responsible for your ancestors and the crimes that they've committed against humanity is the same way that I'm not the goddamn slave that my ancestors were. I have a voice and I can speak and say what the hell I want because I'm a free man. Not because of Abraham Lincoln, but because of the Creator, the universe, everything is free. Again, the white man wants to control everything and everybody, and this is what creates problems. This is where you have your police force, right? Pause. Think about that word as for a matter of fact, right? Police, P-O-L-I-C, right? Just add a Y to that, right? That's policy. And then put the E back on behind the Y, and then you have policy enforcer or policy enforcement. What policy are we talking about? We talking about black codes, right? We talking about systematic racism, right? There should be no fucking need for no damn affirmative action either. These are all constructs that they've made up and whatnot, right? The so-called liberal, right, to try to rectify the fucking damage, the fucking injustice that their ancestors instituted, created, enforced, right? So you have a law enforcement officer, a policy enforcement officer. He enforces the policy of the establishment. Right? They straight violate your human rights. They straight violate your constitutional rights by imposing their laws, statutes, and codes on you. Which again, law, statute, and codes is things that they've constructed. So again, why do we need Black Lives Matter? I don't need it. I know that Black Lives Matter. My life matters to me. My life matters to my wife and my children. My parents and my grandparents. My life matters to them. It's not anybody's right to play judge, jury, and executioner. I'm talking about the police, and I'm talking about these white people up in Congress and in the Senate and all of these unjust, unrighteous individuals sitting in positions of authority. And what I really want to know is who the hell gives them the right to have any authority over me, as they were born from a woman. They were birthed the same way I was birthed. Some of them even born on the same day, same time, same hospital, so on and so forth. And now this motherfucker claimed he got some authority over me because somebody gave him a badge? Or because he's white, he think he's better than me? Come on, man. This shit is fucking like some... This is some of that shit that they just make up. You hope one day maybe that you'll wake the fuck up and see that this has all been a fucking a dream, a bad dream. But no, this is the harsh reality of living with an antisocial, evil, devil-ass conqueror who has no respect for law, no respect for righteousness, no respect for justice. I don't care what anybody says. I really don't. I'm going to say that there is no way in hell, we could even go back to the lynchings, right? Where they lynch kids, women, pregnant women, men, babies, boys, girls. You're not gonna tell me that that shit ain't evil, man. You can't tell me that that shit ain't evil. You can't tell me that that shit ain't sick. You need help. If you're listening to me, and you have any kind of conscience in your body, I'm not saying you're guilty of anything. If you haven't done anything, then you ain't guilty of nothing. Nothing. But if you have any conscience in your body, then you should know the difference between right and wrong. That's all. You should know the difference between right and wrong. Right and wrong. Right? You know what it is to watch a cowboy movie or some of these violent ass video games. You know what it is when a person is shot and killed and die and they have a family who depends on them and daddy's not coming home, mommy's not coming home. You're in your bed and these fucking beasts kick in the door and just shoot up the damn place while you're in the bed sleeping and get off with murder. Again, that's because to them, black lives don't matter. To the European, black lives don't matter. All of the black lives that were sacrificed to build this damn country for free, all the black lives that were lost serving this country, coming home and then being dragged off a bus and whatnot, and having that uniform that you went and served under ripped off of you and being lynched by the same fucking people who waved that fucking flag, that red, white, and blue, and sing all these fucking songs about the dawn's early light. You know, want you to sing this shit and then get mad when you fucking take a knee in protest, not of the flag, but what it symbolizes. How the fuck can people get that in their brain? How can you look at that or hear about it even and not understand that that man is a real hero? He sacrificed his livelihood, as so many black men have done, so many black women have done, all in the name of justice. And you want to give me heroes like Thomas Jefferson, a slaveholder, Abraham Lincoln, what's his name? A Reagan, a warmonger, Bush, a warmonger, a Robert E. Lee, you know what I'm saying, a murderer. You want to erect statues of these people, and then you gun down my heroes. Once again, these black lives don't matter. That Medgar Evers was shot in the back in front of his own home. Be with the light, brother. Malcolm X. Be with the light. Martin Luther King. Be with the light. Marcus Garvey. Be with the light. Who was not assassinated, but he was ripped apart in front of everybody after all that man did for black folks. All that he established. And basically he was a separatist, right? He didn't want to be integrated. If we had to live under the oppressive shit that these people dish out to us and people of color all over the world. It's not just us. Because, you know, again, colored lives, black, brown, red, blue, green, whatever, don't matter to them. Okay? They've slaughtered millions. Even to this day, they manipulated governments, tarnished the food, they created vaccines. Oops. But they have done a lot of harm. Okay? So, to these people, white people, black lives do matter. You, as a white person, your life matters. Nobody hates you. Nobody wants revenge for all the shit that you're guilty of. Nobody wants your daughter. Nobody wants your wife. You know, it's funny, right? Even when you think, again, this is just fucking childish, you know? When you think about, you know, how back in the day, Emmett Till, for example, 14-year-old kid, supposedly whistled at a white woman and said something to a white woman, and a group of white men savagely murdered this kid, and that wasn't even their daughter. Wasn't their niece. None of that. They savagely beat this man, this young boy, tied him up, weighed him down, and threw him in the fucking river. Now, you cannot tell me that that's not what a beast does. That's not what a human being does to another human being. That shit right there, that's that shit they call savagery. So this white woman accused this boy, they killed him. But yet, every basketball player, almost, I ain't gonna say them all, you know, a lot of basketball players, a lot of football players, a lot of entertainers, you know, all these black men with money, they always seem to be attached to some white woman. And nobody has a problem with that as long as that nigga got some money and he giving that money to her. And when she divorces his ass after she give him them little children of theirs, right? She divorces his ass and then takes his ass to the bank and tries to break his ass, right? Because to her, it was never about love, right? Because it's really not in her. I just don't feel. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not trying to be a racist and not like that. But at the end of the day, I know, because I've been in relationships with white women, and I've had a white woman tell me that I wasn't black enough, right? Because I wouldn't go out and commit an act against somebody else for her. I've had white girl that I was in a relationship call me a nigga. Right? That seemed funny, right? Right? So, you know, I guess, you know, the sex wasn't good enough, because basically that's what it was for me. It was all about that anyway. You know, it wasn't, you know, I really can't say, you know, 100% that was really what it was about, but I believe that was really, you know, what it was about for her for some reason, because it just like never had that that home black woman feel about it. I'm sorry. So I choose the black woman today. that I've been with for 30 some odd years. And I'm happy, you know. I mean, we have our ups and downs and stuff. We have our fights and everything like that, you know. We say shit to each other, but at the end of the day, that chick is going to cook my meals the way I want my meals cooked. She's going to take care of my house. She take care of me the best way she can, and that's all I can expect of her, you know. But again, just going back, and I'm gonna end this, right? But I just want to say again that, you know, this Black Lives Matter bullshit is, you know, we already know that Black Lives Matter, right? And it's really nothing you can do to change these people, you know, how they feel and stuff like that. Because a lot of times, you know, most of their feeling and stuff like that is insecurities and all facets of the word when it comes to manhood, when it comes to security of oneself, you know, and guilt. You know what I'm saying? The guilt is it plays a big role in bigotry, shame, anger, resentment. All of that stuff plays a big role in bigotry. And this is why it's so hard for them to swallow the Black Lives Matter movement, because it's like you're throwing that shit in their face and you're not including them. You know, because just look at it, right? Look at it, right? I'm gonna step out and say, and I know I'm not 100% because I don't know statistics, but I know what I see, right? I see that. I'm going to say 90% of the football players are black, right? 90% of the basketball players are black, right? Baseball players, you know, not as high a percentage there, but probably mostly black, right? Musicians, black, right? You know, so we got a lot of talents that was endowed to us, as the Constitution says, right? That every man is endowed by their creator, the creator, whatever. And so we have certain things that we do well, and we dominate. A lot of these things we wasn't even invited to be a part of until they saw that without us, with us, it would increase their revenue and it would be more exciting with us in it. You understand? So they allowed us in. They didn't allow us in the nightclubs, and we took over the jazz scene because, you know, anything that we go into, we take over. It's not, you know, it's not bragging or anything like that. It's just, once again, it's just fact. I mean, you just look at it. You know, I mean, and again, because of the racism and the bigotry, the racism of them not wanting to give you that opportunity so that you would pass them or do better than them, right? And them thinking that you would treat them the same way that they've treated you, which is a bunch of bullshit, because we don't think like that. We don't move like that. You know what I'm saying? This is how we are able to be enslaved, because we have always been givers. You know, we're not takers. We're not dominators. You know what I'm saying? We have, of course, we have many great warriors, you know what I'm saying, who have led many, you know, wars and stuff like that on different fronts, you know, whether it be political, physical, whatever, spiritual. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? We dominate whatever we put our minds to, and there's really nothing that anybody can do to stop that. So they knew they can't stop it, but what they did was they incorporated you in it. They gave you a job, right, where you could have stepped out if you had the finances, or if you had the selfishness that they have, right, the greed that they have. You could have created your own stuff. And we should create our own stuff. We should have our own basketball league, own football league, since we dominated anyway, right? The people come and see us anyway. Why do we have to work for, again, right, the oppressor, right? The one who would tell you that you can't fucking kneel. in protest of your people being shot down in the street. You want to work for that guy? I don't care how many million he give you. If you take the millions that he gives you and you go out from there and you organize your own, right? You build your own, people will support you because there's a lot of people, white people, good white people, that will support you. So you have to be willing, you know what I'm saying, and unafraid to go out and do these things for self. That's racism. Full circle, right? So again, the people who are, we just fucking scrap that Black Lives Matter shit, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to tell these motherfuckers that Black Lives Matter. Okay? We don't need to do that. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to keep fucking marching and crying and shit, right? And saying Black Lives Matter. We need to say fuck them, right? We need to do for ourselves, practice racism, right? Get our shit together, stop killing each other in the street, stop selling each other drugs, stop committing crimes, right? Stop doing all this negative shit, leave their religions alone, and go back to the African way, go back to being the people you were before you were captured, enslaved, and robbed of your own fucking self. The knowledge of self is very important. The knowledge of who your people are is very important. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna shut up right now. I saw a post on Facebook of Will Smith, Diddy, and I think it was Kevin Durant. They just invested, the article said that they invested $30 million into I think it was an electrical engine, electrical boat, electrical something other in the technology thing. And I said, that's nice and all, you know what I'm saying, that they can come together and invest in something, you know, of material, toy, invention, whatever. But what about investing that 30 million? If each one of these millionaires, think about this now. Each one of these millionaires, right, was to donate $1 million each. I'd say $1 million, right? $1 million would be a start, because you can start a lot of businesses with $1 million. You can open up grocery stores with $1 million. You can open up medical centers with $1 million. You know, where you can go and get treated, right? You can send a whole bunch of kids to school with $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Where they can go, right, and learn how to be doctors, dentists, lawyers. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to continue to go to these same people who are not going to serve up any justice. And somebody said to me, well, why is it that, you know, they should have to do this and that and everything there? It's their money. See, that's how we think, right? As a slave. Right? Right? The free slave and the house nigga and the field nigga, right? We think that the field joker think, right, that the field joker thinks, right, that he say, well, I got mine, you know, you got to get yours, right? Once he run away, he ain't looking to go back and save nobody else, huh? That motherfucker gonna run north, right? Set up shop for himself and say to hell with the rest of the slaves. You know, let them get free on their own. Until OJ or Orenthal James Simpson until you go out and kill a white woman, right? And then you got to run back to the hood, right? This is the house nigga that's been kicked out the house, and now he got to go back out into the field with the field niggas and say, hey, save me. I'm one of y'all. Look at me. I'm the same as you.